All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this works out. You know, you watch movies, and part one of a movie is really good. Part two is usually not as good, and part three is usually really bad. Hopefully that's not the case in this little super short video I'm making for you. This is probably the hardest problem I'm going to show you because you've never done anything like this before. This is question 18 on the last page. I just included 17 on here just so I can talk to you about that in a minute. So question 18 says write a rule. I haven't had you write any rules yet. A rule is a function. You know, a rule is really a function. You've done this in Algebra 1, just not with, geometric shapes like you see up here. If you flip the page over, the previous page, question 17 is an example of a rule. This is a translation rule that maps xy, maps a point, to x minus 5 and y plus 1. This is an example of a rule. So this is what your answer, could look like for this type of question on question 18 and 19 and 20 and 21, all those. So you're trying to write some rule, x comma y maps to some other one. You can do it verbally, but really we're trying to do this as a function. Write a function that transforms points. That's hard to do without looking at the numbers. So what you should start by doing is label the coordinates of every single point on here, the s and s prime. Label the coordinates of c and c prime. Then do g and g prime. Do all three of them, all three pairs. So you have 6 sets of coordinates. I'm just going to let you have a minute to do that. I suggest you pause the video and do that. Get all 6 of them. S is at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 3. Label each of the 5 corners of the triangles with their coordinates. Hopefully you can see that on my screen. I know it's not showing up great, but hopefully you can do that. So pause button, label your vertices, and then we'll talk about those in a minute. So hopefully you get, S is 3, negative 4. Hopefully that makes sense. C is just at 0, comma 1. Not 1, 0, but 0, comma 1. C prime is at 1, comma 0. Now I'm doing these in colors. The red one, S went to S prime in red. C went to C prime in black. G originally is at 1, negative 2. Did I do that right? In pink. That shows up on your screen. And then the new G prime is negative 2, negative 1. So hopefully those coordinates make sense. So here's the process. Try to write a rule, get a look at the numbers, and once you look at the numbers, I think you'll see it. Think about what you're doing with these two numbers to get that as your output. Think about what you do with 0 and 1, sorry, 1 and 0 to get 0 and 1 as your output. One thing you'll probably notice right away, learn this is verbally. We're trying to write this rule here. Verbally, you can see they switch. Like I'm just explaining this in words. Yeah, they switch. The 3 and the 4 switch. 3 and the 4 switch. The 1 and the 2 switch. The x and the y switch. There's something else going on. You can see that numerically. Not only they switch, but the sign for the second one changes. The sign, this 1 and negative 2 switched, but then the 1 became negative. So there's those two things are going on. The objective is, can you write a rule? Can you write a function like this that explains that they switch and the sign for the second one changes? Hopefully you can write that type of rule. Y switches with x, so now the original x coordinate is now my y coordinate. Sorry, the original x coordinate is now my y coordinate, and I change the sign of it. The original y coordinate is the new y coordinate, the new x coordinate. So they've switched, and the sign for the second one changes. Hopefully that makes sense for a rule. The last part of this, some of you can see this visually. Up here I said this one's a translation on number 17. What type of transformation is that? Like, are you rotating, reflecting, or translating to create the new triangle? And some of you can certainly see, it takes a minute to maybe look at it. G is being turned over here, S is being turned over here, C is being turned over here. This is an example of a rotation. If you're really good, you can probably figure out how many degrees it's rotating. And I can tell you right now, it's either going to be 90 or 180. Try to figure that out on your own. Hopefully this helps you get through, the problems on that packet that you've never seen before. This is how you write rules. I talked about the other ones. Good luck. Finish it for homework. Finish it in class if you're that good. We'll see you on Thursday. If you work really hard on this, I'll give you Friday off.